Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to talk with you on a superb day. The day is holy, and I assure you that this holy day will be one of the most knowledgeable day of your life in the way of investing. जैसे टर्टल हम टर्टल टॉक करते हैं हमारा मेन जो फोकस है टर्टल टॉक का कि हम कहीं से भी ऐसा नॉलेज इम्पार्ट कर सके जो आपके वेल्थ क्रिएशन में, आपके लाइफ के वैल्यू क्रिएशन में कहीं न कहीं आपको इस्तेमाल हो और फिर आप उसको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादातर उसको लेवरेज ले सकें। बिकॉज़ I'll start with an amazing story which has been written by Bible in Bible and it has been told that अगर आपको एक चीज़ चाहिए, भगवान आपको कुछ भी दे सकता है, सिर्फ़ एक चीज़ आप माँग सकते हो, तो आप क्या माँगोगे? बहुत लोग पैसा माँगेंगे, बहुत लोग फैमिली की वेलबींग माँगेंगे, बहुत लोग हेल्थ माँगेंगे, पर सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है? तो वो है विज़डम। विज़डम यानी आप इल्म बोल लो, नॉलेज बोल लो, आप जो भी बोल लो अलग-अलग लैंग्वेज में। अगर विज़डम नहीं है तो कुछ नहीं है। आई वाज़ जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू अ केस ऑफ अ सुपर्ब बास्केटबॉल uh, and he was at his peak and he was doing $27 million a year contract with Chicago Bulls, and eventually today he's a bankrupt. So this has happened not because he has been not an extraordinary person, but generally this happens most of the time because uh, of not knowing where to invest and the power of as we say, the power of right wisdom. So let us focus on how we can create more wealth for you onto the way of wisdom and into the way of more, a wealth creation process. So let me go to a very wonderful topic today. What we have designed is power of allocation. So power of allocation, as you can see the picture very well, there is salt over here. For example, the salt, आज आप खाने में salt ज़्यादा हो गया तो आपको पसंद नहीं आएगा. If खाने में salt कम हो गया तो भी आपको पसंद नहीं आएगा. Salt is the biggest example of the right allocation because इससे इससे बेटर एलोकेशन एग्जांपल है ही नहीं कि आप जब खाना खाते हो तो सॉल्ट का कितना महत्व है. ज्यादा भी नहीं हो सकता है, कम भी नहीं हो सकता है. द सेम थिंग हैपेंस इन इन्वेस्टिंग. व्हाट हैपेंस इन इन्वेस्टिंग इज दैट टेस्ट हमको पता नहीं है बिकॉज टेस्ट लॉन्गर टाइम पे पता चलता है. पर डू दैट एलोकेशन कि हम कितना परसेंटेज लेते हैं, जैसे कितना परसेंटेज सॉल्ट डालना है अलग 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 चीज में, द सेम थिंग कितना परसेंटेज हम एलोकेशन करते हैं उससे बहुत लॉन्ग टर्म में डिफरेंस फायदा मिल जाता है. यही हमारी स्टोरी है आज की कि हम कैसे राइट एलोकेशन पे पहुंचे जिससे आपका वेल्थ क्रिएशन यहाँ से 10x 100x बढ़ सकता है. दैट इज व्हाट इज आवर मोडस ऑपरेंडी. A very value investor, a superb guy who has written a lot about investing is Mr. Philip Fisher. He says that usually a very long list of security is not a sign of brilliant investor, but of one who is unsure of himself. हमने कहीं ना कहीं हमने स्ट्रक्चर कर लिया है कि मैं सक्सेसफुल हूँ इन्वेस्टर क्योंकि मुझे रिटर्न अच्छा मिल रहा है. That is right. But perpetually, it is more about what you are holding and how much you are holding that makes more importance rather than how much money you are making. Because money making will be subjective, but what you are holding is it does makes the highest profitability. So जैसे मैं अभी एक कल ही एक इन्वेस्टर को मिला एंड ही वाज हैविंग अ ग्रेट सागा अबाउट हिज इन्वेस्टिंग. मैंने ये लिया, मैंने वो लिया, मैंने ये लिया. एंड हिज पॉइंट वाज दैट कि अगर मैं लेता हूँ ना, मैं तो बेचता ही नहीं हूँ, मैं रख देता हूँ स्टॉक और अच्छी कंपनियों में करता ही नहीं हूँ. फिर when we did a math of his investing and why his 1% allocation of that investment made a huge impact over the period of time for the companies who are doing good. Like for example, most of our, I'm sure most of our portfolio में आईटी में हम टीसीएस भी लेते हैं, इन्फोसिस भी लेते हैं, हम परसिस्टेंट सिस्टम भी लेते हैं, हम फॉर एग्जांपल हम कोफोर्ज भी लेते हैं. बट इवेंचुअली ये सब लेके do that portfolio actually makes a huge difference? That is the biggest question. Or you need to bat into a certain focused way, because there are so many people who have spoke on focused investment or concentrated investment. उसमें से सबसे ज्यादा हमको दो चीज पता चली है. एक, कि अगर आप ग्रेट इन्वेस्टर और सुपर रिटर्न कमाना चाहते हो, तो ह्यूज डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ इन्वेस्टिंग प्रोसेस से आपको पैसा नहीं बन सकता है. दिस इज फैक्ट. ऑफ कोर्स आप तब सेकंड क्वेश्चन डिफेंड में ये करोगे, हम पैसा लूज भी नहीं कर सकते. आई अग्री टू इट. बट आप पैसा भी बड़ा नहीं बनाओगे. जैसे अगर आपके पास 50-80 कंपनी का मिक्स हो गया, बिलीव मी, आप आपका पोर्टफोलियो निफ्टी से भी आउट परफॉर्म नहीं करोगे ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. But then, what if you have a concentrated bet? And concentrated bet is something where you can really grow very well. So not a single investor has made a huge money into their portfolio by having a unconcentrated bet. आप बफे देख लो, मिस्टर राकेश झुंझुनवाला देख लो, राधा कृष्णा दमानी जी देख लो, या एनी ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट इन्वेस्टर जिसका हम सागा करते हैं उसको देख लो. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल एप्पल नाउ इज वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट bet of Berkshire Hathaway, Mr. Warren Buffett, or maybe a Titan is the biggest bet of Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, or maybe there are so many companies what we can talk for that this has been the biggest bet of their lifetime. They have never betted onto the structure कि हम 1% ले लेते, आधा परसेंट मेरे पास तो है ही. Because eventually they have understood very early in their career that के छोटा bet से they will not have a superior returns. उससे अच्छा they will put lot of cash into their portfolios to wait for the opportunity to get that back. अभी ये भी बहुत बड़ी चीज है कि पोर्टफोलियो में कैश रखना और वेट करना. So like there are so many investors who have huge cash in the portfolio just because they understood that they don't get an opportunity to invest in a conviction bet. हम सोचते हैं कि यार ये तो मार्केट चल रहा है, वो क्यों कैश नहीं इन्वेस्ट करता है. बिकॉज ही हैज अंडरस्टैंड द मैजिक ऑफ एलोकेशन इज दैट if he's investing 1 or 2%, it will eventually not make any difference to him. But when he gets a big bang, then he will bang it by buying a huge quantity or a huge allocation of the portfolio. So that has been the biggest virtue of people who and of the people
Rohan bhai,
who,
please just
sorry.
can you just keep your mic little higher so that
Yeah, now I'm fine.
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So so this has been one of the biggest learning in our life. And believe me, you talk to any investors, you talk to any most of fund managers or any financial managers, people the least talk about the allocation of what your portfolio is into. Means हम सोचते हैं कि ज्यादा diversified is a better portfolio. Debatable, but the focus portfolio only will create exceptional returns for you. So if you're looking for extreme safety, the better is you invest in a mutual fund or a exchange traded fund. But when you're looking for an ETF, for equity investment, it has to be an extreme focus portfolio, and that's how you be one of the best celebrated investor or a fund manager. So I have created 5-10 examples of how it makes a huge difference over the period of time. And then we will look forward for how, as a turtle, we can help you for creating that type of focus portfolio. So this is one of the meme, or what we say is that we have created for us, that a favorite Bollywood dialogue we have created, that Babu Mushai, portfolio bada hona chahiye, lamba nahi. Portfolio should be big in size, not in the length. So when you have more than 15-18 portfolio stocks into your portfolio, believe me, you will not create that much of exceptional wealth. तो वॉट एवर इट इज, मीन्स अगर आपका पोर्टफोलियो बहुत लंबा है तो पोर्टफोलियो बड़ा होना होना बहुत टफ है. सो लंबा पोर्टफोलियो नहीं, बड़ा पोर्टफोलियो होना चाहिए. So this has been a JP Morgan. So how this thought came into our allocation was that one fine day when my friend called up and told me that, Rohan, can we buy Bitcoin? And I was like that, see, I don't have any say in Bitcoin, but I don't know, it is going to go up, it is going to go down, but I am a neutral guy on Bitcoin. But let me ask you one thing, that how much percentage of your wealth you are going to invest in Bitcoin? And he was like, does it make difference? And I said, yes, if it does, it makes heck lot of difference. And he was, no, I've not thought like that, I'll buy something. But then I give him a math, that if you won't buy 1% of your wealth, that it doesn't make any difference if you buy a Bitcoin or not. And if you buy 10% of your wealth, it makes difference if you buy a Bitcoin or not. And when I told you will buy 10% of your wealth in a Bitcoin, And he was, no, 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 no. I will not buy 10% of wealth in Bitcoin. I'll buy maybe lesser than 1%. And I'll show how it makes a huge difference of not investing into things which doesn't make any difference because of allocation. If that's I'll take you into ahead of the presentation where, but this is a very important chart to look forward for before we go to the numbers. So JP Morgan did an extreme superior study, and they came with a point that the most determined investor mistakes. So what are the biggest mistakes of an investor? So one was the 8% is overvalued investment. So most of the time they invest in an overvalued investment. 11% is holding on to investment too long, means the stock is not doing great, but still they are holding for a very longer period of time. Third is that having too much money in one investment. This is 16%, where, for example, this is again a very contradict part of what we are talking, that, in one stock only or one investment only, they have 80 or 90% of the investment. That is also radically wrong. Then it is 31% trying to time the markets, means मैंने टाइम किया, जैसे बहुत लोग अभी बोल रहे थे कि 10-11 हज़ार से कि मार्केट बहुत चल गया है, अभी ऊपर नहीं जाएगा, एंड मार्केट 15 हज़ार तक चला गया। अभी लोग बहुत टाइम बोल रहे हैं कि हम 1 मार्च के बाद इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे। तो मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ क्या फर्क पड़ता है, 1 मार्च के बाद करो, बिकॉज आपके सीए को ये साल में पूरा मैनेज नहीं करना है आपका स्टॉक मैनेजमेंट, इसलिए आप नेक्स्ट ईयर में आप शिफ्ट करवा रहे हो। but it doesn't make any difference if आज आप अभी इन्वेस्ट करो या 31st के बाद 1 मार्च अप्रैल को इन्वेस्ट करो, but everybody has this कि मुझे टाइम करना है, अभी मुझे नहीं लग रहा है इन्वेस्टमेंट करना। So I have this we have this question we ask to all of our investors, then do you know when to invest, then let us decide that what point of time we will invest. And most of the people say no, we don't know, we will see, and then see doesn't come anytime. And the last is, then the biggest is not paying enough attention to asset allocation. Now this has been one of the highest mistake where people eventually don't make money, and that is what we are looking forward for, and this is backed with the data, of course. And the next data comes is that by average investor never make big money. So these are the certain different asset classes which has been compared over the last 20 years of investment till 2018. Of course COVID, it was previous COVID, but these are still a legitimate data to be talked for. So REITs investment has been 9.9% of investment. REITs is generally, buying real estate for a commercial yield, or, investing in REITs company. वहां पे एग्जिट रूट आपका है नहीं, तो आप वहां पे लंबा टाइम के लिए, और आपका वहां पे बहुत फोकस इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गया। देन गोल्ड वैसे भी फोकस इन्वेस्टमेंट है, तो 7.7% आपको एसेट क्लास में यील्ड मिला। ऑयल हैज बीन 7%। ऑफ कोर्स दिस डेटा ऑयल का अभी नहीं काम करेगा, बिकॉज आफ्टर 2018 वी सॉ ऑयल टू गो टू नियर टू जीरो। And then S&P 500 has been 5.6%. Then 60-40 is 60% equity, 40% debt has been 5.2%, 40% equity, 60% debt has been 5%, and bonds has been 4.5%. Inflation, this is a US data, so inflation has been 2.2%, but the average investor has been the least with 1.9% returns, because of not understanding the right allocation of investments. And that's how the biggest difference has been, that the least average investor is making money, and the max is the real estate guy making money. Because most of the time when you invest in real estate, it is very focused investment. Like मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हमने अपने घर लिया होगा तो वो बहुत फोकस इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा, या हमने कहीं प्रॉपर्टीज ली होगी तो बहुत फोकस इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा, रेदर देन बाइंग 50 अदर प्रॉपर्टीज। हमने एक ही जगह पे या थोड़े अलग अलग जगह पे हमने हाईएस्ट प्रॉपर्टीज बाई की होगी। So that is where the biggest chunk comes, that why people don't make money. The one of the biggest reason shown by the data is not paying enough attention to asset allocation. So this has been, but this is the classic allocation case study which our Turtle team has defined. So please look at the numbers very carefully. अगर आप कोई भी चीज में 1% एलोकेशन करते हैं, 1%, यानी आपके पास 1 करोड़ रुपए है तो आप 1 लाख का निवेश करते हो, तो अगर स्टॉक 11 गुना बढ़ जाता है, सो 11 टाइम्स बढ़ जाता है, यानी 100 रुपए का स्टॉक 1100% बढ़ जाता है। अभी आप 11 टाइम्स तक रहेंगे, वो ही नियर टू इम्पॉसिबल है, बिकॉज हम बीच में बुक कर लेंगे, हमको बीच में पैसा चाहिए, हम थोड़ा मूडी निकाल लेंगे, हमारे पास हर जारगन्स है। But if you still stay till 11 times of your portfolio only increases by 10%. only increases by 10%. But the same time, if your allocation and your focus of your investment is 10% of allocation of whatever you are investing, if the stock goes only 2x, your portfolio return accelerates by 10x, 10%. So you see over here what is the biggest difference. Now let me I asked a lot of people that आप क्यों 1% इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हो, क्यों छोटा इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हो? उसका दो रीजन है। एक तो ये है कि हम ज्यादातर टाइम देते नहीं है समझने के लिए कि ये धंधा क्या कर रहा है, कैसे कर रहा है, और हमें किसी ने बोला तो हम ले लेते हैं, ऐसे ही इसने बोला इसलिए ले लेते हैं। सो हमारे पास टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं है, समझ नहीं है कि ये धंधे में मैं और पैसा दूं या नहीं दूं। और सेकंड होता है डर कि मैं ज्यादा पैसा डाल दूं और खत्म टूट गया तो। पर वैसे भी इतने सारे स्टॉक में अगर अगर नहीं टूटेगा तो भी रिटर्न्स नहीं बनने वाले हैं। सो अगर आप फोकस इन्वेस्टमेंट पे हो, यानी आपका एवरेज इन्वेस्टमेंट हैज बीन 15 कंपनीज ऑन एन एवरेज विद एन एवरेज एलोकेशन ऑफ 6 to 15% इन अ कंपनी, सो योर रिटर्न विल एक्सेलरेट। फॉर एग्जांपल, person A has 11111% of stock for a longer period of time, and person B has very focused investment portfolio. In both of the scenario, the both stocks are same. Person B will make much more profits over the period of time in comparison to person A. The second case too is a superior again, definition is allocation of 1% and the stock gains 11x. Conclusion is 10%, and the stock, if you invest 10% and the stock goes 11x into it, then your of course return is 100% into the portfolio. So my friend who asked me for Bitcoin, I asked him one thing, that if your portfolio is 1%, this case 2 is the Bitcoin example, is that if you invest 1% of your wealth in any of the thing, Bitcoin is just an example, is you gain 11x and with a total return of 10%. And case 2 is if you have 10% allocation and stock or any asset goes 11x, you get 100x, 100% return, and still it is only 100% return. Believe me, when a stock goes 11 times, still the return is only 100%. So this is the power of conviction which matters to a larger context. And case 3 is how 0.5% also matters over a it does matter over a period of time. Like you invest in a stock 5.5% allocation and you invest in a stock 6% allocation. Now the stock gains 10x, your is 49.5 and this is 54%. That 0.5% over a period of time makes a huge difference. So the best first question now comes to your mind or anyone's mind is that if anybody is giving you a recommendation or a stock idea, the first question you need to ask is, of course, when to exit. And the second question you need to ask is how much allocation I should do in my portfolio. And if the conviction is not below 3%, if the conviction is below 3%, believe me, that doesn't make any huge difference if you invest or if you don't invest into your portfolio. So this is the biggest revelation. I'm sure you would have not find this crisp data anywhere in the investment fraternity. So we have done a math of power of concentration. So for example, if you invest a stock at 100 rupees, you be with the pointer, and the stock goes 2x, it takes 100% to go for 2x. It's a very simple math. But the more you hold on that stock, a good stock, the more it goes up, the more faster the x creates. Like for example, if it is 3x, it only needs to rise 50% more, then 4x, and when it comes to 10x, 11% incremental gives you that 1x more of your portfolio. So the more you are into that single stock, the more you can get the larger x into it. So many of the investor ask us that, you have this company who has done 4x 5x now why it matters to you that, hold on, you should book some profit and go to a different stock. Yeah, I'll do that if the company is not doing good, but if the company is doing superior, the biggest profitability comes after the stock goes 5x, because every 20% and up the stock multiplies double, and 10x 11x it still goes lower, 12x it still goes lower, and 20x it goes to a different angle only. So the more you are into that investment stock, the more profitability you create in a small percentage of move. So that is where the biggest point comes. Like for example, Our first investment of Naukri had been at 1000. So Naukri now raises to 20% or 25%. It creates that X into our portfolio automatically. For a new stock to go double, it has to create now 100%. But for a normal stock, which I am holding for a longer period of time, it takes only now 20% to create that 100 multiples of effect. And that's the biggest difference into your portfolio. At the same time, if you don't, if you hold a losing company, then 10% you need to come to a 11% break even. I'm sure you, most of the people who are listening would know this math, but this is a very important math. If you have a company which is not performing in your portfolio, if it is 1% allocation also, it will matter a lot, because it will take a lot of time to come to the break even. So the math over here is कि अगर आपके पास एक ऐसी कंपनी है जो पॉजिटिव टेरिटरी में है और 1% एलोकेशन है, तो मैटर नहीं करेगी। पर अगर आपके पास ऐसी कंपनी है जो 1% है और परफॉर्म नहीं कर रही है, तो वो मैटर करेगी आपके पोर्टफोलियो में, बिकॉज आपका यील्ड नहीं क्रिएट होगा। So I'll give you an example. There are certain people who hold the stocks like, Yes Banks and Vodafone's India. I don't have any problem with the stock. It could be the best company in future. I don't. But when I ask them, so I have a friend who told that, boss, I bought Yes Bank at the bottom of. And then I asked him, how much did you buy? And he said maybe roughly 50,000 shares or something. And I told him, what is the percentage allocation of your portfolio? And he was like, I've not counted that. And eventually it doesn't make a difference now, because if you would have traded, that's a different thing, but if you have kept, then it makes a huge difference. So that's where the biggest question comes, that are you betting the right on the allocation of the portfolio rather than only the stock you have. So when I meet a lot of investors and I ask them that these are the general stocks I hold, and they say we have all. And I was like, seriously? So I have talked for two funds talking about 10 companies, and you have all 10, and then you are telling 15, 20 other companies you have, and maybe I'm sure there are 15, 20 other companies you have which you have not discussed with me. And they say, yes, this has happened. So means that portfolio size is 45 stocks. And I ask him that, have you counted your CAGR returns? And they say, no, we are happy with the returns. But then have you counted the returns? Because they have counted the number of stocks and the stocks which have, but they've not counted the CAGR returns that they have got. And that's how, where, of course, that it makes a huge lot of difference. So yeah, the power of concentration makes a huge difference. So tomorrow, if you start booking the companies which have done exceptionally well to you and still they are doing very good into their business, think 100 times before exiting that stock, because it will make a huge difference over a longer period of time. So I have this one of the very old PMS portfolios of one of my investors. Of course, this is not our portfolio. This is one of the portfolio which he has invested in 2010 for a good amount of 25 lakh rupees, and so he has a Bajaj Finance which has done 24x from his price. He has Bajaj Finserv who has done 260x. Sorry, 268%, that is 2.6x. Divi's 200, PI 9x, Kotak Mahindra 3x, Asian Paints 2x, Page Industry 5x. I'm sure if you will see this portfolio, you will have an envy that, boss, this is the portfolio looking forward for. Very focused portfolio, 15 stocks only, very focused portfolio, and all the companies, you can't debate that they are not great companies, and we all agree to it. Now, the crux over here is that if with this performance, 2010, so it's now nearly 11 years, what would have that 1 crore rupees invested, or this has been a 25 lakh rupees of investment had been. So that 25 lakh rupees of investor had been only 1 crore rupees. So it has only done 4 times in last 10 years. And that's not a bad return. It's a 20% CAGR and it's a brilliant return. I don't have any problems to it. And it is fantastic. But now the biggest problem comes over here is that here the biggest winner allocation, if you see, it's so lower. Why this allocation of 24 times has only been 8x? If that 1% only, if they would have betted, the allocation would have been 24% now, or 24% of the total portfolio now, but it has been only 8x. Now, of course, the fund manager would have taken a call to stream down some portfolio, trim down the stocks, and it has been the fund manager discretion. So there is no doubt about he's good or bad. He's holding this level of stock means he's a brilliant fund manager. But the point over here is that if he would have not exited the winners into the portfolio and not cut down the winners, his returns would have been at least a 10x from here. And this is big. This becomes the biggest difference over the period of time. In the same thing, like for example, a stock of 5x into the portfolio, or a stock of 9x of portfolio, the allocation has been 5.62% of total portfolio. And this makes a huge difference, believe me. So tomorrow, if you have a portfolio, first look into it, that do it make a difference of the allocation of the stocks you have into your portfolio. Of course, if your portfolio is pretty young, then it will take time to allocate that huge chunk into the portfolio. But if your portfolio is 5 6 years old, then you need to be serious about your portfolio over the period of time. So this has been a very hilarious data which we have found as a research, that if you have invested before 10 years in Sensex, gold and FD rates, that is fixed deposits, the return had would be perpetually the same. Means it had been 10%, 10%, 10%. I've taken Sensex just because it is the meter, or Sensex or Nifty what we are talking for, or gold or FD rates. Now I have kept Wealth Mantra, that we'll discuss later. But why this has been same return specifically in Sensex after gaining so much popularity and at all-time high, is the reason is the focus of the portfolio, is the allocation of the stocks. Because Sensex have 30 stocks where they have 5 10 15 stocks which is doing brilliant, where the allocation is pretty lesser or not that great, and they have companies which are not done great also, and they still hold the companies, like for example ONGCs and Coal Indias of the world, and etc etc. So this is the reason your Sensex has only given 10% of the 10% of the return, whereas our fund, of course, 10 years back down, whatever the returns we have gone 20 percent CAGR with our triple P approach. Why? Because this the only 10% alpha you create is because of the focus investment portfolio, and exiting the losers out and investing into the companies and giving more money to the companies who are performing more better. So of course mine is a multi-cap fund, so I can't compare this with it. But yeah, just on a scenario which we have come down, that today if anybody you would feel that stock ने बहुत अच्छा return दिया है, if you see the last 10 years, and if you see the COVID time, you would be surprised that FD and gold returns had been much more than the equity returns. Of course, after the COVID, the things has changed. The whole dimension has been changed, but this has been the fact of the investing, and that's why active and passive investing makes a huge difference. When you are investing in active investing, you need a focused portfolio, and when you are investing in a passive investing, you need a specific portfolio which has a very lesser risk, like you for an ETF or mutual fund for the same. So this is a very important data to look forward for while you are investing. So what are the action steps? The point is that रोहन ये सब पता तो चल गया मुझे, अभी करना क्या है वो तू मुझे बता. And I'll tell you what we should do. And what we should do is that first ask, this has the probability to become 10x from here. Means whatever investment you do, first ask with a logical point कि 10x यहाँ से हो सकता है, और ये 10x हो सकता है तो मैं कितना इन्वेस्ट करूंगा वो स्टॉक में. अगर 10x हो नहीं सकता है तो इन्वेस्ट करने का कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं है, और अगर हो सकता है तो इन्वेस्टमेंट 3% से कम करने का भी कोई पॉइंट नहीं है. नाउ द क्वेश्चन ओवर हियर इट कम्स टू यू इज दैट यू विल टेल मी दैट रोहन 10x हो सके उसकी क्या गारंटी है. सी गारंटी तो कुछ भी नहीं है, बट योर ऑल द लॉजिक could say that yeah, this company is the probability in next 10 years to be 10x. If the answer is yes, you should invest. If the answer is no, with all the logical point, you should not invest. और कल उठ के वो जो कंपनी में हमने yes बोला है वो नहीं हो सकती है, और कंपनी में जो no बोला है वो हो सकती है, but it is the part and parcel of the investing process. But if you go 5 or 6 times right in the 10 decisions you have taken, you make a huge difference in your portfolio. So we believe at Turtle that the maximum stocks on an average of a year you should hold is 15, not more than 15. Average has to be 15. Means अगर 15 से ऊपर स्टॉक आपका एवरेज 3 साल का है, believe me, your portfolio won't perform above Nifty 100, Nifty 500 returns also. Top 5 stocks should contribute 40% of your portfolio. Means आपका top 5 stock 40% से ज्यादा आपका portfolio में contribute करना चाहिए. मिनिमम एलोकेशन आप 3% से ज्यादा किसी भी चीज को दोगे, उसका कोई पॉइंट नहीं है। सो आप अगर इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो तो आप डिसाइड करो कि मिनिमम 3% होगा तो ही मैं इन्वेस्ट करूंगा। मैं तो 3 बहुत मॉडरेट बोल रहा हूँ, मुझे ऐसा लगता है 4 से 5 के परसेंट पे आप एलोकेशन नहीं कर सकते हो तो वो इन्वेस्टमेंट करने का कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं है। देन maximum initial allocation has to be 6, so this is also a different point that first allocation आप फिर 15-20% भी मत करो, because अगर if you go wrong into that then also the hit is very huge. So initial allocation you do, the first allocation is between 6 to 8%, and once the story start unfolding as per your thought process, give more money, more money, more money to the same investment. Like for example, I'll give you an, our example, like when we invested into a Tata Chemical, we gave a percentage allocation, a 4 to 5%, and then when the story started unfolding as per our thought process and the number came and the price detected as our triple P process, we gave more 2%, and I'm sure we at a certain after a quarter we'll give more 2% to it. Once the story starts folding unfolding as per your thought process, give more allocation, but initial allocation 6 to 8% से ज्यादा करना एक्सट्रीम रिस्की हो जाएगा. एंड betting on one company in one sector, that's what I told, means like आप अगर आपके पास केमिकल हो, अगर आपके पास बैंक्स हो, आपके पास कोटक भी है, एचडीएफसी भी है, आईसीआईसीआई भी है, एसबीआई भी है, इंडसइंड भी है, तो इवेंचुअली इट विल नॉट मेक एनी डिफरेंस. इससे अच्छा आप बैंक बीज लेके रख दो, आपका पैसा वहां पे ज्यादा सेफ है. But once you come down to a point that okay fine, there are 5 banks into my structure, but which bank I will bet the biggest in, the maximum banks or a structure or in a sector, in a portfolio, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक सेक्टर जैसे I'll give you an example. Chemicals we are extremely bullish on. We have one stock of chemicals, specifically specialty chemicals, into our portfolio, and in a second growth mantra portfolio we have second stock. But if I would have all the chemicals in my portfolio, in chemical is a much diverse industry, you can have different segment if you want. But then for like banks, if you have Kotaks and HDFCs and everything, it will not make a huge difference into your portfolio. You have to bet big on one, and that will change the huge difference. And then exiting stocks below 1% of reallocating them. So अगर आज आप घर पे जाके एक्सरसाइज, आप ऑफ कोर्स घर पे ही होंगे, तो एक्सरसाइज करो कि 1% से ज्यादा कौन से मेरे स्टॉक है जो 1% से कम है, आइदर मैं उसको निकाल देता हूं जिसमें मेरा कन्विक्शन नहीं है, और द सेकंड पॉइंट इज दैट आइदर मैं उसको ज्यादा एलोकेशन दूंगा अगर मेरे पास ज्यादा कैश अवेलेबिलिटी है तो. बट इफ बिलीव मी, एनीथिंग बिलो 1% will not make a huge difference into your portfolio. So this has been the whole subject about allocating. I've been made very crisp because I didn't wanted to make jargons where you don't understand all about investing. But one thing for you, how we can help you to make your portfolio onto right allocation is this, is we starting a very unique portfolio review services where you can give us your portfolio and we will review and give back to your portfolio. And of course we will do a lot of stuff for doing that. So how we do it, I'll give you an example of Mr. A, where we have reviewed on 12th March. So our whole team sits and decides the modus operandi. You all know that Turtle is all about processes and research. So we have made a process of how you will review the portfolio. So I'll give you a basic thought process of how we will review the portfolio. Now, for you, it may work, it may not work. For us, we feel that it is the right mix of evaluating a portfolio. The first point is that if the company is not fundamentally good, I'll exit that stock. Second is that if the company's allocation is lesser than 1%, I'll exit that stock. And third is that if company is technically price wise weak and it's below its 212 EMA, we will exit the stock. If all these three conditions mix in one stock, means of course of the total stock you have, then it is an exit sell from you. You can manage at your end also. If you don't want, we can send to us. We would manage, we would send you the whole customized portfolio review about your portfolio. And of course, the whole would be the opposite stocks which are very good fundamentally. Allocation is more than 1% and stock is about 212 EMA. So nowhere we are juggling it bad. So some portfolios only shows good and bad companies. We have equipped all three allocation, the price, the profits, and the people into the portfolio. So of course, you all know, most of know that we have a price, profit, people, a copyrighted investing process where we see price, when then we see profits, and then we say people, and then we invest into the company or exit into the company. So this is how the second dashboard come to the portfolio, where we show you what are your top 5 allocations, the number of the stocks, like this portfolio has more than 206 stocks, where stock holding below 1% is holding number is 161 stocks. 42 lakh has been, the stocks below 1% holding. Now just imagine, from 96 lakhs of the value, 161 stocks are below 1% of the portfolio. So this has been rated as exits. Then stocks which are, exit stocks as per the value, which are not good. So this is 163 stocks, and the stocks hold are 25, and that is 45% of the portfolio. This is the detailed approach we will give to your portfolio. And of course we will give you the whole finding that you need to take a professional approach, and what are the things you need to execute, and the portfolio review will put it into steps to you. So this is how we create an exceptional, the process of, giving a unique portfolio review services as per your portfolio, to link this, that one extra degree which can create that average return to a maximum returns into your portfolio. So of course, then we have our services. There are, I'll just review very fast. We have our Wealth Mantra PMS funds, and then we have Growth Mantra advisory funds. You can invest with us with small case also. And we have also written a book which is in Gujarati and Hindi, English, The Complete Trader. And this has been our return over the period of time, has been 7x return, 7.6x returns in last 9-10 years, and been very consistent. And then this is our USPs. So if you need a portfolio review, this is a print screen you can take forward for, and you can WhatsApp us their portfolio with your name and details at this number, or of course you can give us an email at contact@turtlewealth.in. So we can review the portfolio, and we will give you the portfolio after 50 hours of where you have sent, of course on the working days what we are talking forward for. And this services we have specifically made for people to make the point, to show them that how the review process makes a huge difference, and the focus business makes a huge difference into your returns. So this has been the whole portfolio. About the session has been, I'll put a small disclaimer, this has been for only knowledge purpose. The stocks what we have discussed would be in my portfolio, my company's portfolio, and my client's portfolio, and we would have a vital interest. For any any decision you are taking, please meet your financial advisor, wealth manager, or a fund manager for the same. So that has been the whole review process. So I'm sure you would love it. And if you have any doubts or any questions, the forum is open to ask questions. We would be taking very
Ro-
specific questions, not more than
Rohan
not.
bhai, before we start the Q&A process, Amit wants to see the PPP slide again. So can you just
Oh,
go
sure,
on
sure.
that?
So I'll give you a triple P
Huh.
process approach. So price is stock price positioning. So the price has to be strong. We take a longer term consolidation breakouts, and we are the only company which decides when to exit before we enter the stock. And we, of course, we communicate to our investors also, or a business associate for the same. And then the profits is that we see the leadership, and of course as per the fund details, you can't expect a corporate governance you expect in a TCS versus a small company of 2500 crores or 3000 crores. But then we see the management is decent, the potential of 10x growth could be there. And then of course the link has to be there that the businesses are decent and you should invest in that. And then goes to people is that, knowing more about the company management, knowing, going more into the skin of the company, and knowing, how this company is performing, the numbers, not to get an internal or what you say insider information, but to go more into the skin of the game. So this has been the our investment process. I'm sure this has been very clearly conveyed. You can get more details about it on our website www.turtlewealth.in.
Uh, Rohan bhai, should I start the Q&A?
Yeah, of course you should start.
So Rajesh bhai Reshamwala has the question that the portfolio which you showed, it has a stock called Bajaj Finance. So way back in 2010, how you would know that it would grow to 2500 percentage or 25x?
So I, first of all, that was not my portfolio, so I can comment into it. But any fund manager who invest into it, they don't have a vision. Like for example, today I want to go to Mumbai. I don't have a pure vision that what are the roads and stuff. I can see only 100 meters or 200 meters far from my car. The same way is in investing also. When you invest, you see that the roads are good and you want to go there and you want to take this route, but now you can see only 100 200 meters far, that is a quarter or so. And of course you see and then evaluate. But of course Bajaj Finance has been a fantastic company for last 10 years, a decade or so, so that fund manager would be holding. So we also have that type of investing stocks into our portfolio, but of course we are not that old PMS holders, so we can't show that the statement to you. But that was just an example of the statement I showed, that it makes a huge difference.
Regarding the 1% allocation, so Jayesh Bhai Gandhi has a question that if the value of the stock has now eroded and the value is very less, there is no meaning or there
Yeah.
is no point in exiting the stock. It is better to forget and let the investment be there.
Yeah, so see, this is a very important question. I think so. This is brilliant question. कि एक स्टॉक आपका जो टूट गया है 90-95% ऑफ द वैल्यू, इसको होल्ड करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए, ये बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है। तो मुझे मेरा पर्सनल पॉइंट ये है कि उसको आपको निकाल देना चाहिए। उसका एक रीजन है, क्योंकि 98% ऑफ द टाइम वो स्टॉक ऊपर आएगा ही नहीं, और 2% आ गया, और अगर आपके पास एलोकेशन वैसे भी कम है, बहुत बड़ा फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है। पर सेम टाइम अगर आपको अच्छी इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है, तो आपको वो निकाल के उसको दूसरे अच्छे स्टॉक्स में डालना ही चाहिए। उससे दो चीज होगी, एक तो आपका पैसा भी बनना है, ऑफकोर्स प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी भी बढ़ेगी, पर आपका जो हमारा क्या होता है, हमारा एक होप क्रिएशन होता है कि पड़ा है, और एक स्टॉक भी बढ़ जाता है तो फिर हम अपने आप को सोचते हैं कि नहीं, ये कभी लॉस तो बुक नहीं करनी चाहिए। बट दैट इज अ रॉन्ग थॉट प्रोसेस, बिकॉज 100 हजारों में से एक स्टॉक ऐसा होता है जो फिर से घूम जाता है, पर 99 स्टॉक्स और 99% ऑफ द स्टॉक्स आर डेड ओनली। सो जनरली वो हैबिट क्रिएशन भी नहीं करना है, क्योंकि हमको क्यों डेड इन्वेस्टमेंट में पैसा रखना है। हम होप पे जी रहे हैं या फैक्ट पे जी रहे हैं? अगर आप फैक्ट पे जी रहे हो तो मेरे हिसाब से आपको एग्जिट कर ही देना चाहिए।
Shreyas Bhai Desai has a question that please share your idea on having cash in a portfolio. When and how much cash one should have? How do you determine cash level on P or PV basis? Also share having index put to hedge the portfolio is a good idea.
So let us go one by one. Can you ask the
So,
first one?
sorry, the first question is please share your idea on having cash in the portfolio and how much.
Yeah, so I believe there is no math to the cash. It's all about the opportunity. If you find opportunity, you should pump 100%. If you don't find opportunity and you're not convinced with the opportunity, you should be in the cash. Means दुनिया भले 100% कैश पे हो और आप 100% इन्वेस्टेड हो सकता है, और दुनिया भले 100% इन्वेस्टेड हो और आप 50% कैश पे हो तो भी इशू नहीं। वो आपका या आपका फंड मैनेजर का कन्विक्शन पॉइंट है। और आप जैसे आप कभी किसी को आप दे रहे हो पैसा, तो वो फंड मैनेजर पे आपका कन्विक्शन होना चाहिए कि हाँ ठीक है, हम वेट कर रहे हैं अपॉर्चुनिटी की। जैसे बफे हैज मोर देन नाउ $100 billion ऑफ कैश इनटू हिज बुक, he is not finding opportunity, so he is not investing, as simple as it. So ये इसका कोई मैथ नहीं है। The math is only as per your process and as per your comfort system.
And having index put to hedge the portfolio is a good idea. Or
No, I don't think so. It's a good idea, because if you are only investing into companies which is purely a Nifty based company, then it's still okay. Nifty 50 companies only. But if you are having more than Nifty 50 companies, which usually all we have, that doesn't make any difference to hedge the portfolio with Nifty put, because the cost of carry of Nifty put is much heavier. It is averagely 2% a month, and if you take a longer dated option, it is nearly about 8 to 10% a year. So 10% year, if nothing happens, your premium will 100% erode. So that 10% you have to be ready. And if there are times where I've seen that your stock crashes more than your Nifty, and there are times also I've seen that my stock has done much better than Nifty and the Nifty has gone down. In any condition, I don't think so we should we should hedge our portfolio with Nifty puts. If there is a specific event, it's a different thing, like you have tomorrow an election or you have tomorrow something which is very very erratic, तो हाँ वो कर लो एक shorter time के लिए, but longer time frame पे hedge करना doesn't make any difference, or rather it erodes a lot of your percentage of wealth.
Vishal Bhai has a question that as you said, you decide your exit price before investment. In such cases, there are many ideas which have become multi-baggers, which eventually you would have exited much earlier.
Yeah, means like there can be like I'll give you an example. There's 100 examples I can give, but I am very very clear that the day I understand this company has also done a revival, I'll buy it. So I don't have any problem कि मैं एक बार बेचूंगा तो फिर कभी नहीं लूंगा. So मैं लूंगा, मैं क्यों नहीं लूंगा? वो टाइम पे अगर वो कंपनी का राइट पिक्चर नहीं चला तो मैंने एग्जिट कर दिया, फिर से मैं ले लूंगा. द बेस्ट एग्जांपल आई हैव इज अल्ट्राटेक सीमेंट. In 2017, 2018-19, we bought Ultratech cement and it didn't work. We exited at a 10-15% of loss, and eventually today we have Ultratech cement in our portfolio, and we are very happy for it. At that time, that time also our pure investment thesis was the same, which today also it is. But at that time cycle नहीं uplift हुई, तो नहीं चला. आज uplift हो गई तो Ultratech cement का पूरा structure of business has been totally changed. So that's okay with me. So I am ready to take a loss, but I'm not ready to hold on the companies which are not working for me. That's a simple philosophy we have at Turtle.
Chintan Mehta has a question that suppose we know that a particular sector is going to outperform in coming years, is it advisable to invest in two to three companies of the same sector?
Yeah, it depends on company to company. Like pharma, when you speak pharma is so vivid that every company makes different things and molecules, and a lot of other things. Like for example, a Cipla is a different, and Orbindo is different, Sun Pharma is different, DVs is different, and Dr. Reddy is different. So it depends on business to business and sector to sector. So it has been very like the same has been in chemical, but then.
Chemical.
If you look at sectors like banks and finance, almost they do the same thing. So if it is would be bank or finance, then I would not diverse into so many companies. But if it is pharma and I understand the pharma very well and I want to invest in specific areas of pharmas, then of course I would invest in specific company. But on a bunch, see, believe me, do one. If you don't know, invest into ETFs of pharma, and if you don't have index ETFs, you in sorry sector ETF, you put it into mutual fund ETFs, a mutual fund of sector, or else you give a fund manager who has a very specific approach of concentrated funds. मीन्स आप चार पांच कंपनी लोगे ना तो आपका रिटर्न तो एवरेज वही रहेगा, बिकॉज एक दो कंपनी परफॉर्म करेगी, तीन कंपनी परफॉर्म नहीं करेगी, और आप वहीं के वही हो जाओगे. आपको ऐसा लगेगा मेरा डिवीज अच्छा चला, मेरा डिवीज अच्छा चला, पर आपके पास सन फर्मा होगा जो चला नहीं है, सो एवरेज रिटर्न वो वहां पे नीचे कर देगा. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक ऑन व्हाट यू आर बाइंग.
Uh, can, can we give any real kind of achievement with all this process or of any particular stock in last 2 3 years? I believe he's asking about our achievement of or any particular stock. You can share anything relating to Naukri or
Allocation
no, maybe overall. So allocation also, exit price also, everything.
means there are so many examples. See, I can put it down. You can see our old videos for the same. But maybe buying an Adani port. I'll give you one of the best testimony. The toughest decision I have taken was to sell a bot and buy Adani port. Means about being a fantastic company but not been growing because of its own issues, and Adani port being a very very new company having a bit of issues on corporate governance or the debt side, but a superior business what we were getting. And the tough call you need to make is remove, like if a normal person would be in the place, they would have kept Abort also and they would have bought Adani port also, if both they would have convinced. But then why we exited Adani Abort is that we understood that if we keep all, eventually the return is not going to accelerate. So you have to exit something which is not performing versus something which is performing. So yeah, that was our whole logic. And then of course we have a lot of previous examples of Naukris and SRFs and rain industries where we have done it, but this is one of the latest example.
So Krunal is asking that if he has a good allocation in a particular stock, but the stock is down 20 to 30%, should he hold the stock or should he exit from the stock?
So Krunal, I can't comment because I don't know the stock very well. But generally, if I would be in your place, I would see two things. One, why stock is going down. If the stock is going down because of some only correction reason, like for example a stock called Dixon, which we have made 5x 4x into, and the stock has corrected a bit because the stock had accelerated so much that it has needs to correct. So I can put a three pointer to you. One is that you need to find the reason why the stock is going down. Second is that if the stock is not correct, if the stock is above its 212 EMA, you should not worry much. So this and the three is that it depends on your conviction about the companies. And so on these three peripherals, you should decide that you will need to hold that stock or not. And of course, you also have to see that that 20-30% allocation मार्केट गेन से हुआ है या आपके एलोकेशन से 20-30% हुआ है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आपने ही 20% एलोकेशन कर दिया और वो स्टॉक टूटा है, या आपने किया था 4-5-15%, 4-5-6% एलोकेशन, बिकॉज स्टॉक इतना चल गया कि वो 20-25% एलोकेशन पे हो गया है. तो दोनों सिनारियो देख के फिर आपको यू शुड टेक अ कॉल. बट आई थिंक सो कंपनी में क्यों स्टॉक टूट रहा है और 212 ईएमए के ऊपर है कि नहीं, ये दोनों चीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है.
So we can end as
Yeah,
there are no
perfect.
further
Perfect.
questions.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Turtle team, for making this wonderful content. And we will see you next time with a new topic and creating more of your wisdom and creating more of your wealth. Onto the portfolio review. If you have anything, do send us across in 3 working days. We will get back to you with your whole portfolio construction. Thank you. Have a nice day. I'm sending you a poll, and please fill the poll. So if you are interested in any other thing, we would surely get back to you. We have any other question?
We
Hardik, we
don't
should.
have any.
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
yes, we should end.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.